In this video, we're gonna go over how you can copy my client Rand's entire program and get a great result just like this. Here's the proof. What he done in a year's time with the photoshoot shots and without the photoshoot. Before somebody comments and says, oh, that's all lighting. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's leaner, and in my honest opinion, better in every place, even mental health. I know Rand extremely well on a personal front. We're great friends now. Throughout this process, it's been insane to see him, and we're gonna go through it step by step, this game plan on how you can copy it and get an insane result just like Rand. So firstly, I think it's important to tell you about Rand. If you've been on my social media, you'll have probably seen him in my stories. I've went on trips with him. But before that, he came just as a client. Now we've been on skiing holidays. We've went to Wim Hof ice challenges, like in the Czech Republic, freezing our nuds off. That's where like you have to get into the waterfalls in just your like swim trunks and then, or your shorts. You come out and then you have to air dry. You're not allowed towels. Like you have to air dry. It's like minus, I don't know what the minus would be, but it was insane. You're literally freezing, like shaking, going, ho, 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 making all them noises. And now we pretty much dip most Sundays I'm home together. Like we're super close. So look, you're going to get to know his entire journey throughout this and you'll get an insane result. But before we even knew each other, Rand was literally just a person who messaged me looking coaching and I took him on board. He was in good enough shape, not bad, not unbelievable. But by the amount of effort he was putting in, his photos didn't add up. Like he was training a lot, doing a lot of sport and he looked okay, like good. But he knew he could get to that next level for the amount of effort he was putting in. He was working like 50 plus hours a week. He was studying part-time. He was playing sport. He was training in the gym, but his luck just didn't reflect like the effort he was putting in. And I think that was really frustrating him at the time. He just felt like there was more there. And the best part is a year later, he was photoshoot lean, 6-pack, bigger, stronger, leaner, and a mindset that allowed him to go and do the Wim Hof event with me, which a lot of people I think would struggle with because it's so mentally taxing. If you don't know the Iceman, look him up. It's insane. So let's give a bit more context so you can relate to this. So Rand was like around 30, normal job, studying, and even trying to build like a bit of a side business while going out on the weekends, playing sport, like drinking here and there. Like it was a bit mad when you think about it. And when he came, I remember him saying to me, like he wanted to level up. Like he felt like there was more, like I want to look even better with my shirt off because the amount of effort I'm giving without giving up like my entire social life. I don't want to turn into a bodybuilder. I want like a bit of a balancing game. So that's completely fair. That's what most people do. And at least he was honest and I respect it. That's all you ever want in a client is just somebody to be straightforward. But he had the same issue as most lads, and this is me being straight. He was trying to follow like other influencer workouts. He was jumping from training plan to training plan, training 6 days a week, like an all or nothing mindset, like all in all the time. And then he had wee small gaps for nutrition with like tracking, things that just didn't add up with enough fruit or veg, the quality of food choices. And in reality, he was just a busy lad, built a life for himself. And it's much easier for me to see because it's easier to read the label of the bottle when you're on the outside of the bottle. You can see the issues with people's training nutrition when it's not yours, because you get a bird's eye view. It's like if I asked you to look at my house, you could pick apart, oh, there's a crack here, there's a crack there, because you're on the outside and you're not emotionally attached. That's the best idea I can give out. So this wasn't a 12-week sexy transformation. This was a year. It could have been like maybe 13 months, but it wasn't any longer than that. This will make a massive difference to you if you do copy it. He actually came up to my house to pay cash at the time because that's the way I'd done it. Every single client would have called up to my house and paid cash, not because of tax. I used to have this weird rule where I wouldn't take on a client if I didn't meet you in person. Now I don't have the luxury because a lot of my clients are in the States, Australia, worldwide. But at this stage, it was when I was very local, charging pennies. I think I charged something like £150 for 10 weeks or something. This is like a couple of years back. It was insane. But he called up the house, we had the crack and went from there. And it was a mad time for me. It was insane. So pretty much with everybody, you need to make a game plan. So whenever I saw Rand's photos, I was like, right, what's the best approach here? And I think most people would have actually bulked him. If you look at these photos, they would have goes, he needs more muscle. But I actually highlighted to them that you could probably barely see any abs. So I proposed a 68 week tidy up just to get you as lean as possible. I call this a primer phase. So essentially what this is just removing all the body fat to give me the foundations to build you again. 99% of people are ego driven and want to be just way bigger and leaner at the same time. They're afraid to feel skinny and smaller, and they'll get this thing where they diet for a bit and they're afraid to go all the way to shredded or lean because somebody says, oh, you look a bit gaunt. See, when somebody makes a comment on your physique, the first thing I want you to do is ask yourself and go, does this person have the coaching experience to give me that, or should they F off? And 9 times out of 10, it'll be F off. What I want you to think is people second doubted me about dieting him first. Most people would. But I want you to think of this analogy. When a plumber comes to your house and you pay him to fix a sink, do you question what he does, or do you move out of the way and let the plumber work? Might not look right in the moment, but as long as the sink works the way you want it, it's all that matters. And that's what I'm after, getting you from A to B. So he put his full faith in me and followed everything to the T. So he dieted hard. hard, got razor lean in like 40 days. We even built a little bit of muscle, don't get me wrong, with the adaptations from the new training plan, working on his sleep, better food quality, just like nailing the nutrition hierarchy, calories, macros, micros, nutrient time, and subs. And boom, 6 to 8 weeks later, lean, primed, and we could go into phase 2, which was accelerate the calories upwards. From here, I think we finished the diet in phase on like 2,000 calories, and we were able to build up his calories over the next 32 weeks to around 5,000-ish calories a day. Like, that was around 8-ish months, and it was just small increments. Every time he stopped gaining weight for a week or two, I would nudge the calories, and that's where he ended up because we gained for so long. And pretty much then phase 3 was optimize and lean down for the shoot. This wasn't a goal he had planned. He just wanted to be in great shape. And then once we dieted, we were like, this is stupid not to take a photo shoot because you're in such good shape. And it meant we had low steps, low cardio, and super high food to start the diet with. So it meant that we ended up actually shooting at about 2,700 calories, which is so funny because he ended up shooting on more calories than he came to me with. So it's insane. We pretty much done a prime, accelerate, and optimize. And this meant he was shooting on like 2,700 calories, minimal cardio, and he was doing decent steps, I think 12 to 15K. And that was it. I don't even know if there was probably like an hour cardio a week now that I look back on it. And this accelerated him in a really good position. If you want the full breakdown, it was like 2,700 calories shoot day. I looked it up. I have the statistics from it. He was doing an hour and a half of cardio a week, and I think he was doing 12-ish K steps. I'll double check that math, maybe throw it up on screen. But it honestly was very low because we spent so long in a surplus. His metabolism, his muscle build allowed him to be in such a good position. And I want to highlight that he done all this natural. Whether you believe it or not, my comments on Facebook, if you see them, every single client I've ever had for the last 12 years must be geared off their banger. It's insane. And the thing is, yes, photos do help. Whenever you're leaner, you look bigger, you look stronger. But in reality, most people just put a really big barrier on themselves and use that as a cop-out, in my honest opinion. And they'll use some sort of excuse. It's easy on X or whatever it is. But look, that was pretty much the breakdown. Now for the copy part. Once you've got the game plan, you understand, you can believe the process. Let's copy the training plan. He had 4 sessions a week that had to be non-negotiable. They were clear, decisive, simple. And if you want them, I'm going to outline them here, but feel free to DM me the word 4-day program on Instagram, any social media platform, and I'll send you the program. The same with 3 or 5 day if you want more or less. Just do that and I'll send it through. So we agreed the sessions would be like 60 minutes each. That meant it was about like 2.5% of his week. No excuses. He had to get it in. It wasn't the 6 days a week, which he actually doubted because he was like, I'm not training like 5-6 days a week. And I was like, no, you need 4. I think this is the right move. And his schedule looked like this. We just built in a time period for him. So I want you to do this. Monday morning, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I remember very visually because the weekends just didn't really ideally work. The odd time we would add in a bonus session on a Sunday if he really felt like it. But that was more towards the end. And I think it was just because he felt like he looked so good and he enjoyed the pump. The rest was mainly 2 to 3 days a week then. And it was just achievable, repeatable. It meant he also recovered and was doing less but growing better. And the training was so straightforward. It was push, pull, legs. And then we would either do an upper day, or if he wanted to train 5 days, the last day of upper would be split into another push and pull with different exercises compared to the first. He couldn't make the weekend sessions always because of sport or travel or drinking or whatever was going on. So we could superset them in the upper session if needed or spread them out. It really just depended on what suited his lifestyle. But we always agreed he would at least do 4 because the standard was set. So if you do want that, don't be afraid to DM me 5-day, 4-day, 3-day program and I'll send it all through to you. And I want to highlight some concerns he had. During month 1, he said to me, this is too simple. I don't know if this is going to work. It feels like too little volume. He was doing 2 to 3 sets, but he was stronger. His body was changing and his confidence was increasing because he was seeing the result. By month 4, he was bringing ideas, asking questions, studying the mobility. He was like actually doing more than ever. And he was like, you could see his identity shifting, like because we had broken his belief that more was always better rather than better is better. You could see him like actually wanting to challenge himself. And that's when he brought up the idea of doing the Wim Hof challenge to me. And we would start doing like cold dips. He done 100 cold dips in the mountains back to back during Lent. Like we went past that, like in the mountain, freezing cold. And it was all because like he broke the identity and he just wanted to push himself in other areas then, like because he knew that there was more he could do, because he had always done stuff one way and then completely mixing up is beautiful because it gives you that real like, oh, so this can get me a result even though I believe this other side for so long. Like I was hardwired into this is working better. And that's very hard. And that's where most men actually do fall down because they do the same thing but they expect a different outcome. It doesn't make sense when you say it. It's so funny because I'm the exact same. When someone shows you like a hack to get better results, it's like, whoa. It's like when Jaden Smith said like it rains diamonds on Jupiter and he's like, wow. It's like, holy moly. Simplicity always works because you can be consistent with it. Complexity is always a nightmare because you're going to end up wrecking yourself. Like 7 sessions programmed to death versus 4 good and solid makes things way easier. Now, I will give you the nutrition, the training. It's so long, but if you just DM me, that will massively help you and line it all out. But I'll break down how the sessions were broke down in full detail there, but just to give you an overview, simple as this: push, pull, legs, day off, push, pull, off. Okay, so you're pretty much taking a rest every three days of weights. You're going to take 2 to 3 minutes rest between sets. Yes, because that's going to help you with strength. You're going to do 8 to 12 reps in every movement, and you're going to do a tempo of 3, 1, 0, 1. Now you're like, tempo? What is this? First number is the lower end of the weight. So 1, 2, 3. A 1 count at the bottom so you get a good stretch. 0 explode, and a 1 count at the top, just a reset. So you just remember, slow down, explode. And now we've got sets, which will be around 2 to 3 sets per exercise. And as long as you're doing 2 to 3 sets, 8 to 12 reps, taking 2 to 3 minutes rest, you're golden. Now for the exercises themselves, okay? And on the push days, what we're going to do is do 2 chest, 2 shoulder exercises, and 1 tricep, all for 2 to 3 sets. The reason I would recommend starting at 2 sets in every movement is because if you're getting stronger, you can increase the sets up to 3. But I wouldn't recommend doing it straight from the get-go. The main goal here is to get stronger every week. So once you do this, I would recommend for the chest movements doing 1 press variation, 1 fly variation. For the shoulders, I would recommend on day 1 of the push, doing a press, shoulder press, and a lateral raise variation. On the second push day, I would recommend doing 2 lateral raise variations. That's going to give you the best delt sweep possible. The tricep movements, I really just can tell you what to do here. I would recommend doing a dual rope push down for fully shorten the tricep, and an overhead extension on the rope to fully lengthen the tricep. That is your 2 push days, okay? For the pull day, what I want you to do is a neutral grip pull down, single arm. If you can do dual arm, that's absolutely fine. Neutral grip, because this is going to keep the elbow in front and work the lat. And then we're going to do an overhand cable row, barbell row, T-bar row. That is going to work your lats and your traps in one go. And then what I would like you to do is a 1-arm dumbbell row, okay? So that's going to work your lats in a more shortened position. After that, you pick a rear delt movement, whether it's a fly, a cable, I like a fly, and then 1 bicep movement, which I would recommend being an incline cable curl to fully stretch the bicep. It's a belter. The leg day is going to be super simple. We're going to focus on shortening and lengthening each muscle group. So I want you to do seated hamstring curl into a quad lengthening movement. This could be a hack squat, a normal squat, a leg press, anything super simple quad wise. Then we're going to do lengthening for the hamstrings, so an RDL variation. Then we're going to focus on shortening the quads with a quad extension. And then the last 3 exercises should be something that lengthens the glutes and shortens them. So a hip thrust and a Bulgarian split squat. I know you're looking at me like I'm evil. And then finally calves. I would recommend doing 2 to 3 sets of each, whatever you have time for. Okay. Then we're on the push and pull B. So these are different exercises to the first, but the structure is going to be very similar. So on the second push day, I want you to do another press. But if you've done flat on the first day, do incline on the second. If you've done cable flies on the first day, do machine flies on the second. Now, instead of doing a shoulder press, what you're going to do is do a lateral raise machine or cable variation. Then what I would like you to do is do some other lateral variation you haven't done, whether that's lying down, single arm, whatever it is, just to give you more volume on your lateral delts. Simple. And then lastly, the tricep movement is going to be an overhead extension with a rope. Done. Push, cooked. And then pull. Super, super simple. What I want you to do is I want you to focus on a wide grip pull down, because we haven't done that yet, so a lat pull down. Then I want you to focus on an overhand row again to work the thickness. So not a T-bar, barbell row, something slightly different. And then I honestly think one of the best things you can do is a straight arm pull down with a rope to work your lats. Or you can do another single arm row variation with a machine, or however you prefer, just not the same as dumbbell. Then we have rear delts again, the opposite version of whatever you've done in the last pull day. So we've got the likes of cables, dumbbells. You could even do a face pull if you wanted to. And that's really it. Oh, and your bicep exercise before I forget. You've done a lengthening, so now you want one where the elbow is in front, okay? So like the likes of a preacher curl. And that is your entire training split with your rest, 2 to 3 minutes, your sets. And as long as you stick between 6 to 12 reps, you're golden. That is pretty much the entire training plan we ran. Some people will say that's too high, too low. It worked exceptionally well. And if you want to condense the last day in a 4-day program, just pick like 1 chest, 1 back, 1 shoulder, 1 back, superset the arms, you're good to go. Now, but what about the abs? Honestly, if you want abs, all I do for mine, now they're not unbelievable, but all I do for mine is a rope ab crunch. I like a decline crunch and a reverse crunch. I just throw them in as I please throughout the week and do 2 to 3 sets, 10 to 15 reps. That's it. Super simple, and just overload week on week. Boom, training plan done. Jesus, that was longer than I thought. So super simple, and we're back into this with nutrition. So look, Ryan loved going out. Love drinking, love food, love socializing. So we ran a bit of a different approach with him. We pretty much done Monday to Friday, had to be tracked, had to be meal prepped. It had to be high protein, high veg, fruit in every meal as well. Tracking it all to a T, no alcohol, no meals off, no snacking, and no takeaways, that was for sure. And then the way we worked is Saturday and Sunday was a bit more of a balanced approach. So as long as he had his protein and calories, I was happy. Sometimes we'd even allow him to take calories from the Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, no more than 10%, and give them into the weekend to give him that bit more more of a scope so that he could sustain things a lot more substantially. But this was only during the initial dieting phase. Then we spent so long building up his calories, he had no issue. And there was times where he went out, 2 to 3 weekends in a row. And there was times where he just didn't drink for like 2 months. It just really depended on how it fell. And you know this yourself. It tends to come in waves. This worked far better because we didn't restrict and say you're on a drink ban. It took the idea of perfection off him. And when it took the pressure off him, he actually flourished far better because he could actually realize like, I can do this for life and I'm getting in better and better shape. And then you fall in love with it. The weird thing is you do notice when you do this with people and they're committed to more of like a longer term vision, like a year plus, they naturally just pick up better habits. Like he started calming down his weekends. He started going for walks with friends on a Sunday morning instead of drinking, going for cold dips. Not because I forced him, but he felt the difference and preferred it. Like how good he felt, the energy, the confidence, how he was responding in every area of his life. Like he went from going like 8 pints out to being able to have 2 and call it quits, like greasy takeaways to just having a nice meal out. These are all just easy choices that made everything better for him. And he was doing them naturally over time because he wanted the result and it felt better. One of the biggest takeaways here is not the buzzword of sustainability. It's the fact that doing things longer term beats perfection because you can take a more balanced approach. You don't need to give up your life, just own your weekdays. And it usually works well with some rules during the weekend, and that's magic. And I've sort of gave you his nutrition, but just to break it down in deeper depths, his calories were worked out like this. We took pretty much his body weight times by 14. So say for talk's sake, off the top of my head, he's 180 pounds. We gave him 2,500 calories to start, then dropped him really about like 200 to 300 calories, and then increased steps or cardio every time fat loss stalled or decreased food. And that was literally it. And that's how we done it. The protein was 2 grams per kilogram of body weight or 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. And then the fats were a quarter of this. So he was 180 pounds. You got 180 grams of protein and 45 grams of fat. We filled the rest with carbs. And that's really what we done. Super simple nutrition. In terms of meal plan, if you want the exact meal plan, you can DM me the word meal plans. I'll send you the meal plans I use with some of my clients. It'll make it bulletproof. But pretty much the meals were Greek yogurt, fruit, dark chocolate, peanut butter in the mornings. Then he would have 2 really easy meals like a sandwich or a wrap for lunch. Dinner would be pretty much the opposite, so he didn't have to cook because he was quite busy. And then we would have protein oats throughout the day. That was literally it. And he would have fruit or veg with every meal. Super simple, low cook, low prep, low clean, straightforward. I think this is a gold mine idea that people just don't nail enough. And that was pretty much the nutrition nailed. Super simple. And one of the reasons I brought up Ryan's result and one of the biggest take homes, and I want you to take from this, is not just the physical result, it's the mental discipline and the mental result. How he's changed and how much of a better person he is now in every aspect is insane. Like he's a better man than me. Like I'm not just saying I made him. He's not. He's better. Like in every aspect. I would trust him with my life, and I really do mean that. Whereas before I probably wouldn't have. 1, because I didn't know him, but 2, I just know him inside out now, and I know he's such a good human. Like he's such a good person, and that's so rare. And I think this process has developed patience, willpower, tenacity. He's been through highs and lows, some of the toughest times of his life that I would rather not say on camera. And to see what he's done and how he's navigated it, and fitness being a pillar, and me playing a very small role in that is exceptional. It means the world to me, and that it lights me up. Honestly, it was small changes. It wasn't firework. It was just discipline, and you could really see it. It's insane. And pretty much this was it. Like this is the approach we done. Once the dieting phase was done, we built his calories back up. And when you break it down, we pretty much went 2,500 calories down to 2,000, and then slowly built back up during the build-up phase, and then re-added. And that was the game plan executed, nailed. Better mental health, better physical health, more sustainable routines. He's still in cracking shape now. He's actually a coach now. He's in the best shape of his life. And a year of consistency will always destroy 12 weeks of perfection. Play the long game. You'll get results that last forever. And hopefully you can copy that, get an insane result. And if I can help you in any other way, please do not be afraid to reach out to me. If you want to work with me or one of the team, you can click the call link below and we can have a no pressure chat. And if there's anything I could do, please don't hesitate to say it. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Big love. Whoa.